Good morning. My name's Kevin Shanahan, and I'm so honored to be here to provide testimony today. And I, too, am just blown away by what I heard today. The amount of money, of course, but it's getting used in such an effective way, but the tons of PM and NOx. I leaned over to Tom during this and I said, he's got to be running around up there just so thrilled with what he's done. Tom said, no, he's too humble, which is true. I want to put this in a little bit of context. I was fortunate to be the owner of Cummins West from 1986 until selling the business in late 2013. Cummins West was one of the largest Cummins distributors in North America. Our territory was California, Nevada, and Hawaii. We sold and serviced diesel-fueled engines in all mobile source applications, heavy, medium, and light-duty trucks and buses, and additionally stationary power generation applications and a wide range of marine, mining, and construction equipment applications. I share these facts with you because it brings to mind that the regulatory focus in the early 90s was increasingly on reducing the emissions from these mobile sources, the emissions they produced. At that time, my competitors and I, as well as the users of these mobile sources, were viewed as the enemy and by regulators and the environmental community. And unfortunately, or sadly, the feeling was mutual. And at that time, all any one of us had to do was look at the state's terrible air quality and know toxic emissions from these sources was a very serious problem and getting worse each year. Not only was the air quality in the state terrible, but the relationship between the regulators, the environmentalists, and the producers and users of these mobile sources was even worse than the air quality, if that could even be possible. Tom and I just briefly were saying that we hated each other. It was just terrible. So enter Carl Moyer. As I remember, as Tom alluded to, Carl's consulting with Tim Taylor and Tom at the Sacramento AQMD on how to reduce emissions from on and off-road mobile sources. I was intrigued by what they were doing and how Carl was suggesting they go about it. Fundamentally, at the root of Carl's approach was collaboration. First, Carl showed us how to collaboratively identify the stakeholders for a given problem. Carl then showed us how to collaborate together and solve problems by sharing each stakeholder's unique perspectives, knowledge, and experience with that given problem, peacefully. Carl's approach was new to us, and the progress was very encouraging. To our surprise, we all got along really well and realized together we might be able to develop some real measurable mobile source emission reductions. Carl showed us that together we could move from conflict to convergence and come together to reduce toxic diesel emissions. We gained immense respect for each other. God, I'm shaking. This is incredible. We gained immense respect for each other, built trust in each other, and came up with some of the most creative solutions on how to fund those solutions collaboratively. And we couldn't find any money. But I guess door to door, like Tom said. So by following Carl's lead and letting him guide us, we started reducing diesel NOx and PM emissions to clean up California's air. Carl had the vision to see how building a firm base of collaboration built on trust and respect could solve big air quality challenges. But after hearing what I heard today, I had no idea how big. But he did. Carl's ideas and approach took what we learned at the Sacramento AQMD and spread his formula for success to the Bay Area AQMD and the other district. And it wasn't long before CARB embraced what was happening and collaboration reached a whole new level with what was to become the incredibly successful statewide Carl Moyer emission reduction program, collaboratively recognizing the huge amount of, at that time, we collaboratively figured out, we recognized a huge amount of federal highway funding that was at stake if we didn't hit these targets. So once we kind of got our heads together, it was like, well, that's a drop. Incentivizing some of these things is a drop in the bucket compared to what we have at stake. And that's when it started to get rolling. Carl was a mentor to all of us, bringing out the full potential of each of us in our individual role as a stakeholder in reducing toxic diesel emissions. Carl's dedication and commitment to getting us to all work together produced friendships with people I continue to admire and respect. And honestly, I really miss Carl. I mean, I'm sure you do too, obviously, but I mean, getting this collaboration to work, I mean, Jerry Brown, John Burton. I remember John White got me in to see Burton, and I went to pitch him on something we were trying to do. And Burton F this and F that with me, and he said, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Go down the hall to Kip Lipper, and if he agrees with it, I'll go along with it. And I mean, Burton and I used to have, I got to know him, we'd have breakfast at least twice a month down at the Fairmont in the city. I mean, we became friends, but also so many others. Jared Huffman, Russ Long, Mike Kinney, and Tom Coquette, and Jack Katowski, and of course, John White and Patty Monahan with the Union of Concerned Scientists at that time, and I think she's with she's a big shot over at the Energy Commission, yeah. That was a compliment. But also Ellen Garvey, Jack Broadbent, Bob Sawyer, and of course, Alan Lloyd. Carl Moyer was and continues to be a huge influence on my life, in my business, in my personal life, collaboration, working together, shutting up. Shut up and listen, Kevin. And it's just these fundamentals that have stayed with me ever since I met him. Working with Carl and working collaboratively with CARB, the various air districts, environmental groups, and industry is the most treasured memory of my business career. Thanks for having me, and thanks for listening.